I welcome everyone and welcome to the class on emotional independence. So let's continue the conversation. I know the video was not posted in the group because of certain technical issues and few of the errors. I thought of repeating the class if needed or continue with the conversation. So people who were present last time, what's been your feedback? What's the thought? Any question that you have in mind on the topic of emotional independence? Just raise your hand so that I can call you back, call you to speak. Okay, so just write in the comment section, how much emotionally independent are you? On a scale of 0 to 10. So where 10 is totally independent and 0 is not at all independent. Just put a number so that I know how and where we stand. Okay, 7, 5, 3, 3, 5, 5. Okay, 50-50. Good. Waiting for a few more. That's pretty encouraging. Yeah. So it's around 5 and 6. That's a good news. Well, and whom are you and what are you dependent on? I want you to make that. You don't have to identify person you're dependent on, but you can say a human, maybe male, female, or just human, animal, places, circumstances, situation, weather, physical comfort. What are you really dependent on? Just please write in the comment section so I know. So human, mood, others' mood, comfort, physical comfort, you mean to say. Not dependent. Relations, yes. Human. Okay. What else are we dependent on? Situation given by loved ones. Human, physical comfort. Okay. Divine guidance, human, weather, relations. Yeah. I'm dependent on moral conditionings and need to obey. Okay. Reactions of others. Money. Yes. Money and relationships. I'm surprised only one person said money. Jobs and people in authority. Money. Okay. All right. Great. Relationships with people. Nice. Okay. Money for me to get. Okay. Family and money. Divine. All right. Now next question is, what do they make you feel? See, you're not dependent on person, places, or any possibilities. You're actually dependent on the feeling that they give you, like the emotional comfort, the security, stability, feel-good factor. You feel honored, you feel respected. What is it? Yeah, you're looking for stability, that I'm a good person. Yes. Right? Approval. Yes. Security. Respectful. To be approved. Validation. Protected. Feeling loved and secure. Right? Taken care of. Security and protection. Now, do you realize you're essentially dependent on emotions, the feelings, the state of being, and not really necessarily people who give you that. Because if these are the same very people who give you exactly opposite to what you're asking or you're looking for, probably you may not feel so dependent on them. And it's not just people, even certain places. So if they give you physical comfort and the same place start becoming uncomfortable for you, you stop being dependent on that place. Yeah. So you're essentially dependent on certain state of being, feeling, or feel good factor. Do you agree? If yes, just write yes, 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 or no, no, no. If no, then let me explain to you, or we can talk. All right. Okay. Some of you have said yes. Okay. Most of you so far. But why? Okay. So the question is why? We get dependent on certain feel-good factors, Sharda. Okay. So it's not about that person as much. We start associating that person with certain feel-good factor or that place or that product or project or any possibility you start getting dependent on for your feel-good factor. And you get dependent on the feel-good factor, which you think you will get from people. Because all of them, they go into the same folder of your subconscious mind. Got it? Okay. So having said that, if you're already a RCM student, you would know what to do. What to do? Come on, put it up. I'm waiting for your answers. What to do? Ask for the experience. Yeah. Straight ask for the experience. R5 statements. Yes. What else? R5 the emotions. Transform and transcend the soul's love, that feeling. Okay, great. What else? Dissociate. Dissociate that person or that product or project or whatever you're dependent on with the feel good factor. You don't need to. That person is who she is or he is. And that project, that place can be different for different people. You have just associated that person with that particular feel good factor in your subconscious mind. And since you're dependent on the feel good factor, you're being dependent on that person or project or product or place. The moment you dissociate, you don't really need to be dependent on them. Okay. Awesome. So work on association and work on the association and dissociation. Release, transform it, and know the brilliance. Fantastic. That would be the second step. Know the brilliance, why you designed that. Know the reasons and then know the brilliance. And once you understand the whole brilliance and the whole arrangement, you can let it go. Now that feels so scary, because we are more afraid of emotional independence than emotional dependency. Because now the worst possibility would be loneliness. What if you're totally emotionally independent? You'll be like the zombie walking on the street, having nobody around, nobody to bother about, nobody to look forward to. What could be the life like if you're absolutely emotionally independent? Does that fear come? And if yes, don't you think we should address that fear first? Yeah. So get in touch with that fear of being emotionally independent. Ask yourself this question on a scale of 0 to 10. How much are you willing to be emotionally independent? How much courage or safe do you find it to be emotionally independent? Yes, fear of alienation is there. Oh, yes, that is the biggest fear. Now, suddenly you realize, yeah, that would be the biggest fear why we choose to remain emotionally dependent, because that will keep us grounded in this material world, also into the relationships. And what if we choose to open up to the possibility of being grounded, being in a relationship, honoring life for what it is, and yet be emotionally independent? Would that be possible? If yes, let me read. Okay, I'm just saying the fears. Okay. Yes, fear of alienation, fear of losing people, fear of loneliness, fear of appearing selfish. There are so many beliefs about being emotionally independent. Boredom, maybe. Yeah. And yeah, being criticized, judged, uh, fearful if it's emotional independence or defensive indifference. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Soumya has a very beautiful point here. Are we being emotionally independent or are we being defensive by being indifferent? Because there's a very thin line between independence and indifference. When you're truly independent, you're detached and you can actually be in a relationship without getting into the stories. But if you behave indifferent, then there is a possibility of damaging the relationships or turning blind to other people's need. Okay. So if you have detachment and independence, indifference and detachment in your subconscious mind together in the same folder, since indifference can bring about a lot of consequences, you will avoid even allowing emotional independence. Thank you, Soumya. Yeah. Fear of not performing duties. These are another set of beliefs that if you're emotionally independent, you will not do anything. Yes, you will not do things which you did out of fear of being rejected, out of fear of being alienated, out of fear of being punished, judged, or criticized, or out of fear of losing the comfort that you got out of the emotional dependency on that particular person. However, if you become emotionally independent, you may do things out of pure love, and you may do fewer things. However, those things will be beautiful because they'll be loaded with your love. Yeah. Food for thought. Anything else that you'd like to talk about? Any question coming up? How to dissociate indifference from detachment. I R5 my association of indifference. Okay. How to dissociate indifference from independence, not detachment, because they're actually different. I R5 my association of independence with indifference, and I R5 my association of indifference with detachment. Apurva is saying difficult to practice. Just address those beliefs. Actually, life becomes more difficult if you do not practice. Your emotional dependency makes you do dramas which you wouldn't do otherwise. Yeah. What do you do because of your emotional dependency? I want you to just think on those lines. How do you compromise on your life because of the dependency so that you don't have to let go of? So simple example I would give is you're dependent on a particular rental place and you love it. You feel so comfortable, all the time worried that what if landlord takes away that place from me? And that gives you so much of jitters and stress. So you may please landlord, you may give extra money, you may keep this house much better, and you may do a lot of things which otherwise you wouldn't do. Just give me a moment. Yes. So we need to make sure. I'm sorry, where was I? Can anybody remind me? I just got a little distracted. We've taken a lot of abuse, yep, because of the emotional dependency. So if you're suppose emotionally dependent on a place, you may try and protect that place, do extra for that place. You may just go and please that person a little more than otherwise you would do. And the person concerned can see through your insecurities and may start taking unfair and undue advantages by asking for the favors which normally you wouldn't give to anyone, right? So think for yourself that how much and what all you compromise because of your dependency. Compromise on health, daily routine, life is tough. Yep, I take in abuse. It definitely brings expectations. Being diplomatic sometimes, yes. Yeah. So independence is not that difficult. Being dependent is more difficult at times because most of the time, out of dependency, we do a lot which otherwise we wouldn't do. We deviate from our own loyalty towards ourselves. We deviate from prioritizing ourselves. And sometimes we deviate from our own conscience. And we'll end up doing things which hurt eventually, right? Suppressing your desires, get upset when can't fulfill expectations of people. Yes, right. So now you understand the whole story behind emotional dependency, right? What do you think we should do? We should work. Are you really now prepared for emotional independence? And how much are you prepared for? 7. Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Very much. I'm 100% prepared. Yeah. Moon 8. Okay. Approval? Yes. Okay. Would love to be. All right. Wonderful. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is give you some of the statements which you can use. All right. Close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. Breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth. Rajni, let me clarify that emotional independence does not mean that you don't bother for others' problems. Not at all. When you become emotionally independent, you love and care for others with pure detachment. Take a few deep breaths. Breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth. Breathe in a lot of positive energy. And breathe out stresses, worries, anxieties, if any. Continue breathing in and breathing out. Let's begin by reciting, I see my need for emotional independence. I feel my need for emotional independence. I acknowledge my need for emotional independence. I love and accept my need for emotional independence. I honor my need for emotional independence. I honor the brilliance in my need for emotional independence. I am my need for emotional independence. My need for emotional independence is me. I see my need for emotional independence. I feel my need for emotional independence. I acknowledge my need for emotional independence. I love and accept my need for emotional independence. I honor my need for emotional independence. I honor the brilliance in my need for emotional independence. I am my need for the emotional independence. My need for the emotional independence is me. I see my fear of being emotionally independent. I feel my fear of being emotionally independent. I acknowledge my fear of being emotionally independent. I love and accept my fear of being emotionally independent. I honor my fear of being emotionally independent. I honor the brilliance in my fear of being emotionally independent. I am my fear of emotional independence. My fear of independence is me. I see my fear of independence. I feel my fear of independence. I acknowledge my fear of independence. I love and accept my fear of independence. I honor my fear of independence. I honor the brilliance and my fear of independence. I am my fear of independence. My fear of independence is me. I see my fear of independence. I feel my fear of independence. I acknowledge my fear of emotional independence. I love and accept my fear of emotional independence. I honor my fear of emotional independence. I honor the brilliance in my fear of emotional independence. I am my fear of emotional independence. My fear of emotional independence is me. I see my unhealthy beliefs about emotional independence. I feel my unhealthy beliefs about the emotional independence. I acknowledge my unhealthy beliefs about the emotional independence. I love and accept my unhealthy beliefs about the emotional independence. I honor my unhealthy beliefs about the emotional independence. I honor the brilliance in my unhealthy beliefs about the emotional independence. I am the emotional independence. The emotional independence is me. I saw my unhealthy beliefs about the emotional independence. I feel my unhealthy beliefs about the emotional independence. I acknowledge my unhealthy beliefs about the emotional independence. I love and accept my unhealthy beliefs about the emotional independence. I honor my unhealthy beliefs about the emotional independence. I honor the brilliance in my unhealthy beliefs about the emotional independence. I am the truth about the emotional independence. And the truth about the emotional independence is me. I see my unhealthy beliefs about the emotional independence. I feel my unhealthy beliefs about the emotional independence. I acknowledge my unhealthy beliefs about the emotional independence. I love and accept my unhealthy beliefs about the emotional independence. I honor my unhealthy beliefs about the emotional independence. I honor the brilliance and the unhealthy beliefs about emotional independence. I am pure truth about the emotional independence. And the pure truth about the emotional independence is me. I see my emotional independence. I feel my emotional independence. I acknowledge my emotional independence. I love and accept my emotional independence. I honor my emotional independence. I honor the brilliance in my emotional independence. I am the emotional independence. And the emotional independence is me. I see my emotional independence. I feel my emotional independence. I acknowledge my emotional independence. I love and accept my emotional independence. I honor my emotional independence. I honor the brilliance in my emotional independence. I am my emotional independence. My emotional independence is me. I see my emotional independence. I feel my emotional independence. I acknowledge my emotional independence. I love and accept my emotional independence. I honor my emotional independence. I honor the brilliance in my emotional independence. I am my emotional independence. My emotional independence is me. I see the joy of emotional independence. I feel the joy of emotional independence. I acknowledge the joy of emotional independence. I love and accept the joy of emotional independence. I honor the joy of emotional independence. I honor the brilliance and the joy of emotional independence. I am the joy of emotional independence. And the joy of emotional independence is me. I see the safety in emotional independence. I feel the safety in emotional independence. I acknowledge the safety in emotional independence. I love and accept the safety in the emotional independence. I honor the safety in the emotional independence. I honor the brilliance and the safety of emotional independence. I am the safety in emotional independence. And the safety in the emotional independence is me. I see my love for emotional independence. I feel my love for the emotional independence. I acknowledge my love for the emotional independence. I love and accept my love for the emotional independence. I honor my love for the emotional independence. I honor the brilliance in my love for the emotional independence. I am the love for emotional independence. And the love for emotional independence is me. I see my worthiness of being emotionally independent. I feel my worthiness of being emotionally independent. I acknowledge my worthiness of being emotionally independent. I love and accept my worthiness of being emotionally independent. I honor my worthiness of being emotionally independent. I honor the brilliance and my worthiness of being emotionally independent. I am the worthy, independent one. And the worthy, independent one is me. I see my creative ways of being emotionally independent. I feel my creative ways of being emotionally independent. I acknowledge my creative ways of being emotionally independent. I love and accept my creative ways of being emotionally independent. I honor my creative ways of being emotionally independent. I honor the brilliance in my creative ways of being emotionally independent. I am the creativity, and the creativity is me. I see the divinity in emotional independence. I feel the divinity in emotional independence. I acknowledge the divinity in the emotional independence. I love and accept the divinity in the emotional independence. I honor the divinity in the emotional independence. I honor the brilliance and the divinity in the emotional independence. I am the divine, and the divine is me. Keep reciting and stay tuned. See, good night.